Hello everybody. Hi, I'm Phantom Sloth, Dunners to some, Adam to others. Welcome to the first ever episode of Unnamed WebShow 001. Dude, don't we all love 5-minute Twitch ads? I should probably just go in there and just disable it altogether. Alright, well, I missed the podcasting bug so much since my last one was gone that I wanted to come back and do something similar to that, but not do another podcast ever again. Just because I was part of a really successful one that's still going called Horror Show Hot Dog until ultimately I got myself booted from that for being a toolbox. And then I was part of something called the Best Flarking Podcast until something else bad happened, and I was off of that show. That one I won't take as mine. But this one is all mine, so the only person who could ever fuck this up is me. So without further ado, let's get into some shit, and let's talk about some nerdy things. First and very foremost, we've got, the big news of the day, or well, of the last couple days, is that Christian Bale is most likely going to be joining Thor, Love, and Thunder. Oh, you'll fuck it up. Get out of here, George. Stop fucking up my show. So Christian Bale's in talks to join Thor, Love, and Thunder. And for a lot of people, the very first thing that they thought with this was he's going to be Beta Ray Bill, man. He's going to be Beta Ray Bill. There's no way he can be anything other than Beta Ray Bill. It's got to be that, right? But I don't think he is Beta Ray Bill at all. He definitely would be Love, and he would be Thunder. Duh. What I think, and I'm going to break down why and why not, but I think he's going to be the villain of the movie because I don't think Taika's going to do another Thor movie after this one. So I think he wants to go on top using one of Thor's marquee villains of the last 10 years or so. And so, first and foremost, that means he could be one of 3 different people from the modern era of Thor. So, getting into it right away, that either means he's Mangog, which is, and this is so old school comics, he is the living hatred of a billion beings. Not like 96 Bitter Beings by CKY2K, or was it whatever that hardcore band is. Oh damn, I'm like 500,000. So basically, he's the hatred of a billion beings, and that hatred culminating together into a creature rivals the strength of Odin himself. And in the comics, he basically just beats the living crap out of Thor and wipes the floor with him, almost kills him a few times, then obviously Thor eventually overpowers him. And while Mangog is a really cool idea, and he could fit in with the MCU, it just doesn't really have the oomph that the other 2 last 10 years-ish characters really have on this list. And the other 2 are quite a bit more interesting. And I think they're far more likely if he's going to be a villain, given how they've handled the timelines thus far. And I will go much deeper into those other 2 characters. So the second of the 3 is the Minotaur, which over the course of Marvel Comics, there's been a ton of different Minotaurs. There's the actual one where, Zeus fucked a bull or something, and some lady had sex with a bull, and that popped out, the Greek mythological Minotaur. There's that, but that's not the one. So the one that I think will happen if he's the Minotaur is the villain from the Thor Marvel Now reboot or relaunch of the Marvel Universe. And that is Dario Agger, who is the CEO of the Roxxon Corporation, which has been flittering about in the MCU since the early days. You can see a Roxxon tanker in the original Iron Man. You can see Roxxon stuff all over the place on different posters and billboards in the back of the movies as really nerdy ultra Easter eggs. Now, the thing about that is that this Minotaur can transform back and forth between man and Super Beast whenever he wants. And in the comics, Roxxon and New Asgard kind of butt heads a bunch. And it leads to Thor and Dario basically having this huge conflict. 100% correct, Joe. 100% correct. But looking at it from the MCU standpoint, you could easily get Christian Bale in there to play a Patrick Bateman-style crazy CEO of the Roxxon Corporation after they've been taken down pretty hard in Jessica Jones and Daredevil and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and have them be this battered-down corporation, to have them kind of encroach on New Asgard in Norway for any number of very American corporation reasons, like extra oil reserves or something like that, which would fit in really well with the MCU's overall plot and plan for this kind of like contained villain, which would also give, you know, Jane Foster something to do on Earth, as opposed to saying like Mangog just showing up and murdering the Asgardians. So that is another potential one, but who I think he most certainly is going to be, and I hope really hard that he's going to be, because the way you could work him into the MCU is really, really, really cool, and I think he's going to be Gore the God Butcher. Now, Gore is a very interesting character for a lot of reasons. One of which, his people are an incredibly deeply religious people, and they have been beset by tons of tragedies and just awful calamities throughout their history. And they pray and they beg and they pray for the gods of the universe to come help them. And they never do. And they're very, very upset about that. And so, one day, Gore is watching two gods fight on his planet, one of them being the symbiote god, which is the deity that rules venom and carnage. And basically the God Butcher sword, quote-unquote, kills the symbiote god. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. He came back this year. Well, Gore picks up the God Butcher sword, and he decides that now that he has this ability to murder deities, he starts striking out and killing lesser gods all the way up to taking on Thor and Odin and the Asgardians. And that's really neat for the comics. What would be perfect as far as the Marvel Universe is concerned is that we just had the double snap, right? So the universe is kind of torn asunder, and on his world have everyone get decimated, and maybe when, you know, Bruce Banner's like, let's bring everyone back, he doesn't really know about Gore's planet, and Gore's planet still suffers the decimation, and those people are still just basically ruined. And so, random fangirl in the back. Is Loki dead, though? I mean, well, our Loki's dead. The one we all know and love is dead. The evil one is most certainly alive and getting his own series on Disney+. #ad. But, so basically taking into the concept of having Thanos happen, and if we have Gore's planet still ravaged, we could take it one step further, and maybe it's not the quote-unquote God Butcher sword from the comics, because the MCU tends to step everyone down just a little bit. You know, they take everyone's power and just kind of scale it back. Like the Hulk isn't throwing skyscrapers at people, you know? Thanos isn't, you know, or I should say, like, Binary isn't grabbing a whole planet and smashing it down on top of someone's head. Those things just don't happen in the MCU. So maybe there isn't just a sword that can murder gods specifically existing in the MCU. But what could be existing is, also in the Thor continuity, Hela and her cool mystical magical blades that she generates out of her body. Maybe one of those bad boys fell off of Asgard into space when Surtur smashed his sword through the planet, and that bad boy's floating through the cosmos and ends up on Gore's planet, and Gore ends up basically half Asgardian god, all angry. So, well, I mean, I'm not mad at it. It's just a theory, just a game theory. In your face, Matt Pat. That's right. I'm not afraid to go at Matt Pat. I got 11 people watching me. I'm the real deal now. But basically, Gore has a really good point to be inserted into the MCU. It allows Christian Bale to use his voice as a CG villain, or like a, you know, like an enhanced person with CG face makeup done to make him all Voldemort-y. Basically, 'cause I mean, if you look at that picture right there, I mean, isn't that just like even more Voldemort than Voldemort, basically? And so going from there, there's a lot of like entry points that tie into the MCU that are a lot easier than, isn't Beta Ray Bill cool? Isn't Mangog scary? Isn't Minotaur kind of cool? Or even the really lame ones that he's going to be Balder, which I don't think the Thor movies need Balder at this point. They don't need another Asgardian character to come in and be like, I'm strong Asgardian. Like, we just don't need any more of that. Like, Valkyrie works just fine as like the gateway to the Asgardian people, and then we kind of just move on from there. And that's kind of where I'm thinking on Bale. And I really do hope that they get Christian Bale in this series, just because man, is he super duper talented. And wouldn't it be great to have Batman be a bad guy in the MCU? OMG. But that's it for the Christian Bale stuff. Moving on to some trailer business. This one, I was originally going to talk about New Mutants first, and instead I'm going to talk about this trailer. This trailer was bad, and I don't understand why this movie exists. That's for Brahms The Boy Part 2. Holy shit. Just so if you guys haven't seen The Boy, it stars one of the gals from The Walking Dead, and she ends up as a caretaker for a child, but the child is dead, and it's a porcelain doll, and they should make him the Minotaur from Paul. Oh my god. My god, a Minotaur. She's drinking your beast. God, I love role models. But you know what, Drewby? Since you're white, you're Ben Affleck. So there, in your face. But, oh man. I'm not sponsored by Red Bull, but this Red Bull Sugar-Free Pear Edition is fucking fire. If Red Bull's listening, which they're not, go ahead and fire me a case. Or someone make that happen. But yes, they're making a sequel to The Boy, which, and I'm going to spoil the shit out of it for you if you guys haven't seen it, because if you haven't seen it by now, you're not looking for this movie, so I don't care. And basically, long story short, the girl, she starts noticing that the doll is moving, the doll is doing things in the house, and she believes that the doll is alive, but lo and behold, the kid who died and the doll she's taking care of, that kid never died. He's a grown man who lives in the walls, fucking People Under the Stairs style, but not good like People Under the Stairs, like super dumb and awful. And basically, she ends up fighting him and killing him in the house, which leads us to, how the fuck do you make a sequel to that, considering the majority of, like, the angle for this movie was the, like, is the doll alive? Is it something else? Well, here's how you do it. You fucking shoehorn the fact that the doll is also possessed like Annabelle, and then you show it like that for the whole trailer. So now we're getting a, like, fucking Conjuring Universe style sequel that will beg the question, why the fuck didn't the possessed doll do anything in the first movie other than just have like a weird dude acting as his mouthpiece, or acting as his body, not his mouthpiece, I guess, for the whole movie. So I'm super flummoxed by the whole concept of how this movie gets made. And I mean, now granted, we all know how this movie is getting made. It's because The Boy, the first one, was super low budget and turned a profit. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that they couldn't get Lauren Conrad? Is that the girl from Walking Dead? Glenn's wife on The Walking Dead. That's how I'm going to refer to her from now, because I don't know her name and I don't watch the show. They couldn't get her back. So instead, they got, let's see, one message deleted by a moderator. All right, cool. Thank you, Nightbot, or thank you, Dex, for controlling everything over there. But so they're getting Katie Holmes for this one. And, oof. It looks bad in, like, all the worst ways. I definitely would say go watch the trailer, but I'm not saying watch the trailer because it's something fantastic and you should see. Quite the opposite. It's super-de-duper bad, and it's going to ruin your day. and you should watch it because it's that kind of trailer where like, you know, it's like one of those like, oh, this tastes terrible. Taste it. And someone's like, oh, it does taste terrible. I'm doing that to you. I'm doing that to you now. But with cinema. With fucking movies, dude. The Walking Who? The Walking Dead was a comic book that abruptly ended recently. There was a TV show. I don't know if anyone. You hear? Do like I'm gonna start doing like late night show. You know about this? You talking about this? Have you heard about this? What's up with the airline food? You guys hear about this? But as a palate cleanser from The Boy, we did get a new trailer from the troubled production that is the New Mutants, and holy shit, dude. I don't know who on earth decided that they were going to make a movie specifically for this guy, for me and me alone, but someone went into Fox before Fox decided to just implode itself, become trash, ruin the X-Men, and then eventually get sold to Disney, who will then save everything. But this movie was clearly, like, you know who's gonna love this movie? Adam Dunn's gonna love this movie. Because when it comes down to it, from the trailer alone, this movie is Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, my hands down favorite film I've ever seen, and X-Men together in one movie, with Demon Bear playing the role of Freddy Krueger. And now, who is Demon Bear, you ask? Well, that's a great fucking question. Let's talk about it, because he's awesome. Demon Bear is a gigantic bear that can teleport, jump inside your dreams, and kill you. He also has superhuman strength, and he's 17-ish feet tall, and he's awesome. And that's it. That's who Demon Bear is. He is a legendary badass monster. And as far as the movie is concerned and the comics, it looks like they're playing Danny Moonstar, aka Mirage. They're playing her story that her and her family get into a car accident. I'm still suffering through the Boy trailer. Sorry, Dex. That's just how it is. That's how it is when you're around here. But they're going to go through Danny Moonstar's story, who, you know, eventually becomes a New Mutant Mirage. And her family gets into a car accident, and she thinks she causes her parents' death, and she survives. And in the comics, it's revealed that her parents' souls basically get absorbed by Demon Bear, and that's how he's using his power to haunt these kids. But I think we're going to get some kind of an amalgamation of that, because they're using the whole, like, the building they're in feeds him. And those kids are all trapped there, getting their worst fears fed to them over and over again until they die, Freddy style. So, you know, kind of just a little bit of Pennywise in there too, where like the fear is the seasoning on the delicious meat that is eating the peoples. And but man, they just picked the, like, from the first trailer they showed like a year and a half ago was great. And then there was the reshoots because, and this is like a super this is a very weird movie for what happened to it. So Dark Phoenix got finished and they did test screenings and people hated that shit. They hated it. They really, really hated it. So they went back and reshot it. And that shit fell downhill, and they're like, well, we can't make a horror movie. We can't make some horror movie, comic book movie. No one's going to want to see that, which is untrue. Tons of people want to see that. So they started doing reshoots and retooling the New Mutants. So, you know, fast forward, they shelf it, because it was, you know, in theory, we should have seen this. If you look at that photo right there, it should have been out April 3rd last year. Like, this movie should be almost a year old at this point, and it's not, because it got shelved for so long. And basically, the Disney buyout happened, and nobody knew if this movie was even going to come out. So it went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And eventually Disney sat down and they're like, you know what, we're not even going to use the reshoots. We're just going to use Josh Boone, the director's original cut of this movie. So we're getting the movie we should have got a year ago, untouched. And it sits in a very unique position that if it's a success, these guys are going to move into the MCU. If it's a failure, they'll just write it off as the last shitty Fox movie, right? And what's really cool about it for getting into the MCU is that since it's such a self-contained story that's inside of its own, like, Weston Hills insane asylum, they can be completely protected from any reference to the snap or anything like that, because none of them know any of that shit, because none of the outside world is involved in what they're involved in. So they can easily tell this story and then move them over if need be, which is really, really cool. And they picked just like a who's who of badass kids from the New Mutants roster. You know what I mean? So like you've got Danny Moonstar Mirage, you've got Sunspot, who can basically control solar flares, and in the trailer, they do some really graphic manifestations of their first time for mutant powers to show up. For Roberto Sunspot, he melts his girlfriend alive while they're swimming. Like, brutal. And then it looks like for Sam Guthrie, the Cannonball, he's in his town's like mine, and his powers must have manifested, and he must have just propelled through a mine and killed everybody in his mining town. Is basically he just like rocketed through everyone and killed everybody. Is what it looks like they're playing that angle. And then for Ilyana Rasputin, who's magic, the very bang heavy 80s looking Anna Taylor-Joy, who is also Colossus's little sister, for a fun fact for everyone. She just like, I just killed 18 people one by one because I'm a fucking magical badass. Like, Magic is going to be fantastic, and it's one of those things where, like, I hope against hope that this goes really, really well, and we get Magic moved into the MCU, because how much fun will it be to see her go up against, like, Stephen Strange and stuff, inevitably down the line. It'll be super cool. I'm way with that. And, and then, we got Demon Bear. So we got all these guys fighting Demon Bear, and there's a couple moments in the trailer where you can see Demon Bear. I should also say Wolfsbane's in this, too. If you guys love werewolves, Arya Stark is a werewolf. That's her mutant power. She's a werewolf. The end. But there's a bigger, more important potential cameo in this film, and there's some frames in the trailer that appear as if there's a little dinky, tiny, baby purple creature. And if you're an X-Men fan, you know that that's Lockheed the Dragon. And Lockheed the Dragon is fucking great. Lockheed's so awesome. And if they use him in New Mutants, I would be ecstatic. I mean, personally, I would, as a child of the 80s who watched the Pride of the X-Men pilot cartoon for the original X-Men series, not the awesome one in the 90s, the one in the 80s where Wolverine had like a weird Australian accent, and they had Kitty Pryde playing the Jubilee role. She gets Lockheed in that cartoon series. If you've never seen Pride of the X-Men, the cartoon, go on YouTube and find it. I bet it's on there, because Wolverine is... wow, Wolverine is so terrible sounding in that. But, all in all, I'm very, very excited for the New Mutants based on the old trailer and the trailer they just released, and I really look forward to it. I don't know, what are you guys looking forward to the New Mutants? You guys gonna go see it when it comes out? This is kind of the part of it where it not being a podcast, I can actually ask you guys how you feel about it. I had no idea what this was, and now you need this. Well, good, Dex. I'm very happy that you need this in your life. And P, you're gonna go check it out. PP Squared's gonna go take a look. Good. We're bringing in like $100. We're bringing in like $100 to the theater. We're gonna do this. Our $100 is gonna light the way, and we're gonna win the world title in the movie theater. Oh, dude, AMC A-List is the best. I love my AMC A-List. I'm gonna go use that this week. Go see a few movies. Go see a bunch of stuff I don't even care about. Just go check it out. So that's gonna wrap up like movie, well, not movie talk in toto, but movie talk as far as trailers are concerned. I gotta tell you, there's a cartoon on the the Warner Brothers DC Universe streaming platform, just in case you didn't have enough streaming services in your life. which whoever does, we all need more streaming services in our life, don't we? Like every single one, we get every single streaming service that there ever was, past, present, and future. But there's a new Harley Quinn cartoon that's like 6 or 7 episodes deep on DC Universe, and it's really good. It like reminds me of Venture Brothers. Like I really like it. Like it's really funny, it's really witty, it's really well made. In the very first episode, Harley literally spends half the episode trying to convince people that Batman is called Batman because he fucks bats. That's a bit that they run in the first episode, and they call back to it over and over and over again throughout the series. So it's pretty ridiculous. Also, you got some really awesome people doing voices in there. You got Ron Funches is doing the voice of King Shark. You've got the Dean from Community is the voice of the Riddler. You know, you got Alan Tudyk as the Joker. If you're a fan, if you're a fan of Kaylee Coco, you can watch it on DC Universe, or if you're internet savvy, there are other ways where you can find it. If you don't have DC Universe. I'm not condoning anything, but I'm not saying you can't do it. Otherwise, it's on DC Universe. Where if you sign up for DC Universe just for like the 2-week trial that you get, burn through the episodes of Harley Quinn, and then burn through Swamp Thing, and then cancel it. Because there's no reason to watch Titans. Titans fucking sucks. But Swamp Thing, super sick. And Harley Quinn has been surprisingly good. So if you get the chance, check it out. It surprised me, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. I think there's only like 3 or 4 episodes left before the first season's run is over. But moving on to stuff that I've played thus far in 2020. I've beaten 2 games and I've played 2 games that I will probably beat very soon before I move on to some other stuff. Not including getting a ton of fat ass dubs in Fortnite. But first game, I've been playing the Ghostbusters Remastered with my son, with my eldest son, Gaybusters. The Mike Pence Gaybusters. Funded by the Jim Baker Church. Yeah, no, Mom, did you get me Ghostbusters for Christmas? No, I got you the other game you wanted, Jim Baker's Gaybusters, starring Mike Pence. I didn't ask for that game. Why is that a game? Who made this? And why did they make it? I don't know. But it sold 71 copies, so it's clearly doing better than More Than Human from the Xbox 360. In your face, guys who made that game on the Xbox 360. I wish I had a better full-on burn and knew who they were, but I don't, because they failed so heavily on a game that was extended so far past its budget. But Ghostbusters is really fun. Like, it's a really good game. It's like a really fantastic game that came out in like 2009. It's super old. Don't ding me, Facebook. I'm doing a goddamn web show. Can't answer whatever you're talking about. No time to ding me. Probably Mara sending me a really fun affirmation video. Like, look at this. Look at this porcupine befriending a woodchuck and becoming best friends. My wife knows that I love animal videos, especially animals crossing the aisle to be friends. You know? Just imagine like Republicans and Democrats as like woodchucks and porcupines now, and being like, look, I disagree with your politics, porcupine, but goddamn it, we're friends, you and me. So that's where my head's at. But basically, this is a remaster of a super old game, and it's really good if you get it for cheap. I should say that within reason there, because I got it on the Epic Store sale, and there was like a coupon, so I think I got it for like $9 total. I got it for less than I'd spend at Chipotle, and I've had better success with this than with Chipotle. Not to say Chipotle isn't good. I'm just saying that this video game hasn't caused me to take a gigantic shit and be like, oh god, I gotta go to the bathroom now. I might have IBS. So, Chipotle. Butthole Explosion Simulator 2020. Out every year like Madden. So it's good. Haven't finished it yet because I'm playing through it with my eldest son, who's a really big fan of Ghostbusters. We just beat Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and he was fucking ecstatic about it. So maybe my level of fun with this game is misinterpreted because my son is having such a good time with it. Another game that me and Flynn are playing together is hwadam, which is by Kaida Takahashi, the dude who made Katamari Damacy and oh my god, what's the Poopo Boy, or the other super quirky game on PlayStation that came out about like worms biting each other's butts or something. They didn't play that one, but Katamari is amazing, and hwadam is just immensely charming. We haven't finished it yet, but it's really, 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 really charming and just a ton of fun. And I highly fucking recommend hwadam. If you have a PlayStation 4 or if you have a PC, or if you have something else that can play this game, fucking buy it, because it's really good, and we need more games that are super weird and quirky and don't fit the mold of every other fucking game that comes out that's just a guy shooting people all the way to the end of the line. We just do that. But hey, getting into guys shooting people all the way down the goddamn line, I played and beat Crackdown 3, so you don't have to. Crackdown 3 is a game that would be considered world-breaking in 2007. Around the time that Crackdown 1 and 2 happened, this game would be considered fucking dope. And it really, really pushes the boundaries of how often you can fit fuck, ass, and shit into dialogue with your characters. And it just kind of does exactly what Crackdown does the rest of the time. It drops you in the middle of a city, but this time instead of street gangs, you're just beating up corporations. Or one corporation who happens to be, newsflash, super evil. They're the super evil corporation of the future who's mining a green substance called chimera out of the ground to power something. But the really big upside of this is you get to play as Terry Crews for the whole game if you want to. And I'll tell you what, I will play any game where you get to be Terry Crews. And it's not like they say he's someone else, but it's Terry Crews, and it's voiced by Terry Crews, and he's the model in the game. You are playing Terry Crews in the future simulator, taking down an evil corporation. And that is worth a playthrough if there's anything that needs a playthrough in your life. And then the last game that I've played and beat thus far this year is a game I never thought I would play until I got Xbox Games Pass and it was on there, and that's Devil May Cry 5. And I don't know shit about the lore of this game, and it was monumentally confusing to me about a lot of things where it's like, who is this? Why does this character matter? Why is this particular story beat any good? Didn't care. Did not care at all. It is very, very fun. You're like classic, super stylish combo system and like tons of different ways to like smack demons into the air and beat the shit out of them with guns and swords. A very, very, very enjoyable game experience for anyone of any age. Well, not any age. Old enough to play games where you like murder all the time. So if you're old enough to play games where you're constantly murdering, Devil May Cry 5. Put that on the box, guys. Put that right on the back of the box. If you're old enough to murder someone, play this. Well, that's like the end of my list of written items. And if we want, I can freestyle off the top of my dome about my newfound favorite moment in Avengers Endgame. If you guys want to hear about that, I can do that really quick because I just watched Civil War and I watched Infinity War and Endgame all together in one sitting. And I have a new favorite moment. And it was weird because like I don't know why I didn't understand this moment in the theater at all. And in the theater, now granted, I was fired up. I was very fired up on in the day I went to go see this movie. My little brother flew back from Atlanta to go see Avengers Endgame with me because we're both monster Marvel nerds, and I got to see it with all my favorite folks who were in the vicinity of me buying 20 tickets to go see this movie. And it was a really great experience. So maybe I was just too full tilt happy to really grab onto some of the meat of the film. But my new favorite moment in this whole movie is when Tony and Cap have that first meetup at the Avengers compound, and when Tony breaks out the shield and Steve's like, I don't know. What I thought he said in the movie was why I made it for you, insinuating that Tony made a brand new shield. And I was like, okay, cool, he made him a brand new shield, so on and so forth, rock and roll, super cool. Tony's way of being like, we're past this, we're moving past this. But then, you know, watching Civil War and how much impact it has at the end of that movie, where, you know, after Cap has beat the shit out of him, you know, whether you believe Cap would win that fight fair or not, this is a point of contention between me and my brother all the time about whether or not Cap was going to win that fight if Bucky didn't grab Tony's leg. But that being said, after when Cap is walking away and he's carrying the shield, Tony screams out, "That's not yours. My dad made that. That doesn't belong to you." And Cap just throws the shield on the ground and says, fuck it. Fast forward to Endgame. What he actually says when he says, Tony, I don't know. He goes, why? He made it for you. It's Tony saying he's sorry. Because he finally understands why Steve did what he did in Civil War. He gets it. And it's as much of a I'm sorry, like genuine I'm sorry that you're going to get out of Tony Stark ever. Because he's not the kind of guy to say he's sorry. You know, he's the kind of dude who moves forward and makes up for his past mistake by fixing it and not saying he's sorry. But in Tony's way of him saying why he made it for you is Tony saying, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. And Cap taking the shield is like, yeah, I fucked up too. And it's just a beautiful moment for them, you know? And so it was like really, really neat. And then later then impacts everything else when you see them like partying up on the battlefield together, and then, you know, ultimately when Tony makes the ultimate sacrifice and you have that shot of Steve looking at him when he's dying. And it's just super, super good. And it just was like that shit hit me way differently after the fact. Now granted, it's my new favorite moment for now. The greatest moment in cinema history is Captain America picking up Thor's hammer. That shit was insane in the theater when I saw it. It was insane every time I was in the theater and saw it, because I saw that movie 6 times in the theater. And it was insane every single time. Even the dinky, like, almost empty theater, people being like, holy shit, who hadn't seen it yet. So, that being said, of course, you know, later on, if we want, I will go into a full-on goddamn deep dive of Endgame, but not on the first episode, because I gotta cultivate the audience to see where everyone wants to be with that. But that literally is the end of anything that I have to talk about. If anyone has anything, they're like, hey, what did you think of this? We can do that for a couple minutes, or 47 minutes and 22 seconds is just as good at any time to call it for a first episode. And then I'm gonna go take a break, go tuck my kids into bed, and then I'm gonna come back and probably play some Fortnite with Joe's Daily, because, you know, Fortnite, you know, that's what the cool hip kids are into. So we'll give it like 30 seconds. If everyone's good, we'll call that a first episode. We'll call that shit successful. And then I'll be back, not next Wednesday, because I'm directing a music video next Wednesday, probably next Tuesday or Thursday. Well, you know what? You're right, Mr. Derek Smiths. It is Tarkov. Everyone's into Tarkov now, which is like mind-blowing, because that shit makes me so anxious. My buddy George, the Iron Chef himself of Twitch fame, plays that game, and just like literally watching inventory management in that game gives me such anxiety that I feel like I'm going to have a panic attack. Like, it's like, well, there's a bag, and then inside that bag there's a box, and in that box there's 2 more bags, and inside that bag's an ammo bag and a helmet bag, and the helmet bag has arm shields in it and stim packs, and it's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I can't play this game. I can't play this goddamn game. Becky, I can't even with this one. Me, Becky, and Karen can't even with that goddamn game. But Tarkov is, I mean, it looks really cool. I'm glad that it's getting like, it's like rise to fame, because like I said, I have friends who play it and who are good at it, and I hope those motherfuckers get huge audiences off of it, because they're out there ripping every day in that fucking game. So I hope it goes really well for them. I just won't be joining them because I'm not trying to have a fucking heart attack because I got killed and lost an AK-47 or something. So, but let's call it right there. Let's say good first show. Thank you everybody who turned out, you know, at this is like one of those things where I personally enjoy just talking into the internet, and I can find a million things to talk about forever. I mean, shit, I did that for like 2-3 years. So thank you guys so much. We'll be back next week, either Tuesday or Thursday, not Wednesday, because I'm directing a music video for Psalm 1. And I'm also finishing up another lyrics video for DJ Shadow and the Run the Jewels guys. And so I won't be on Wednesday, but I'll be back after that. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. I'll be back in a little bit to play some video games. You guys are awesome.